Man, imagine this one day, everything you see, everything you own, everything you've done gone, nothing but you, your soul and the truth, no excuses, no hiding. That's the day you find out what really mattered. And the crazy part, you still have time to change the ending. The day of judgment isn't some distant myth. It's a guaranteed reality. Man, time is your most valuable currency, and it's running out every second. This life's comfort is temporary, but the next life's comfort is forever. Every choice is like planting a seed. You'll eat from its fruit later. Regret on that day will hit harder than anything you've ever felt here. Mercy is available right now, but it's not promised tomorrow. The real winners aren't the richest or the strongest. They're the most prepared for that day. The signs are already unfolding, but most people are too distracted to notice the grave isn't the end. It's the beginning of the real journey. The smart move is to live like the day of judgment could be tomorrow if you want. I can also make 3 more alternate hooks in Joe Rogan's style so you have variety to pick from for your video. That way you can test which one pulls the most watch time. There's this thing about life we often forget. No matter how deep into the shadows you think you've fallen, no matter how far you believe you've drifted away, there's a light that's always there. It doesn't flicker, it doesn't fade, it doesn't judge you for the mess you've made. It's like being lost in a cave with no way out, and then suddenly the smallest crack in the wall lets in a single beam of sunlight, and that single beam is enough to remind you there's still a way forward. People walk around every day with this invisible weight on their backs: regret, guilt, pain, shame. Maybe you've done things you're not proud of. Maybe you've been in places where you swore you'd never go. Maybe you've made promises to yourself and broken them so many times you don't even trust your own words anymore. You wake up and it feels like the world's already against you before you even take your first step. But here's the thing, that darkness you feel, it's not a sign that you're finished. It's not proof that you're too far gone. In fact, the darker it gets, the brighter that light can feel when it finds you. I've met people who thought they had no shot at redemption. They said, "It's too late for me. I've done too much, hurt too many, wasted too many years." But then, out of nowhere, something cracked their walls. It wasn't always a dramatic moment. Sometimes it was hearing a verse that spoke straight to their heart. Sometimes it was seeing someone else's quiet kindness. Sometimes it was just sitting alone in the night, thinking about the path they were on, and suddenly feeling like they weren't alone. And that's the thing, Allah's light doesn't need your permission to reach you. It doesn't wait for you to be perfect before it shows up. It finds you in the middle of your chaos, in the middle of your mistakes, even when you're not looking for it. Because the truth is, you can run from everything in this world, from people, from responsibility, even from your own conscience. But you can't outrun the one who created you. Think about the ocean for a second. You could dive deep into its depths, and the surface might feel miles away, but light still manages to find its way down. It gets weaker, sure, but it's there. And when you decide to swim up, you'll notice something. The closer you get to the surface, the stronger and warmer that light becomes. Your life works the same way. You could be in a season where you're so far underwater you've forgotten what warmth feels like. But the second you start moving toward that light, even the tiniest bit, it meets you halfway. I remember hearing someone say, "But I've been living wrong for years. What's the point of starting now?" And I told them, if you were walking in the wrong direction for 10 years, would you keep going just because you've been walking that way for so long, or would you turn around the second you realized it was the wrong path? The past doesn't have to chain you to the ground. Allah's light is about the now, not who you were yesterday, not who you might be tomorrow, but who you choose to be in this exact moment. Life will keep throwing you storms. People will hurt you, betray you, misunderstand you. You'll fail, you'll lose, you'll fall apart. And the darkness will try to convince you that you're stuck there forever, but that's a lie. I've seen people crawl out of situations so heavy you'd think it would crush them for life. And the only reason they made it out was because they refused to believe the darkness was stronger than the light. Every time you choose to believe that there's still hope, you're already walking toward it. Every time you fight the voice in your head that says, "It's pointless," you're already breaking the grip of the darkness. Even the smallest act of faith, a whispered prayer, a single tear of regret, a choice to forgive yourself, can open a door to something you thought was gone forever. Because life's never too dark for Allah's light to reach you. Not when you've fallen to your lowest, not when you've been running for years, not when you've convinced yourself you're beyond saving. That light has been chasing you since the day you were born, and no matter how far you've gone, it can find you in a heartbeat. People carry their past like a backpack full of rocks. Every mistake, every failure, every wrong turn piled in there until it feels like you can't move forward anymore. And somewhere along the way, you start believing that this weight is you, that it's who you are now. You look in the mirror, and instead of seeing a person with potential, you see a walking collection of bad choices and missed chances. But that's a lie your mind tells you when you've been looking backward for too long. Your past doesn't define you, your next step does. Think about it like this. Imagine you're driving and you take the wrong exit. You realize it, but instead of turning around or finding a way back to the highway, you keep going just because you've already been going the wrong way for 10 miles. It sounds ridiculous, right? But that's exactly how most people treat their lives. They know they're heading somewhere they don't want to be, but they tell themselves, I've already messed up too much. So what's the point? The point is, the second you decide to change direction, the past doesn't matter anymore. I've met people who've been through the worst: addiction, betrayal, broken families, lost opportunities, and yet one small decision, one single act of courage became the turning point for their entire story. They didn't erase the past, they outgrew it. They refused to let it have the final say. It's like carrying a photo album filled with memories you wish you could burn, and then one day you realize you don't have to burn it. You can just close it and start a brand new one. We've all done things that make us cringe when we think about them. Maybe you said something you can't take back, hurt someone you loved, walked away from something that could have been good for you. Maybe you've wasted years chasing the wrong things or being the wrong person. But here's the truth. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the sum of the choices you make from this moment on. The road ahead is still unwritten, and you're holding the pen. Look at nature. Every season ends, no matter how harsh. The coldest winter eventually melts into spring. The trees that looked dead for months suddenly burst into life again. No one stands there judging them for being bare in the winter. We just accept that it's part of the cycle. Your life is the same. Maybe you've been through a winter season, frozen, lifeless, stripped down, but when you decide to take that next step toward something better, it's your spring, and no one can take that from you unless you hand it over. People will try to keep you in your past because it's easier for them to remember you for who you were than to adjust to who you're becoming. They'll bring up your old mistakes, they'll remind you of where you fell, but they can't walk your path for you. And if your next step is forward, then every voice trying to drag you back becomes background noise. There's this moment in every great comeback story where the person decides they've had enough. They don't know exactly how they're going to fix everything. They don't have all the answers, but they take one small step in the right direction anyway. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as getting out of bed when you don't feel like it, making that phone call you've been avoiding, asking for forgiveness, or finally forgiving yourself. That's the power of the next step. It doesn't require you to be perfect. It just requires you to move. You don't need to rewrite your entire life in a single day. You just need to prove to yourself that you're not chained to yesterday. And the way you do that is by acting differently today. Every time you take a step that the old you wouldn't take, you're building the new you in real time. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't teleport to the top. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And before you know it, you've left the valley far behind. There are days when your chest feels like it's carrying 100 pounds of invisible weight when you wake up, and it's already hard to breathe, not because your body's weak, but because your soul is tired. It's like you're walking through life with a storm cloud over your head that no one else can see. You smile in public. You tell people you're fine, but inside you're fighting to hold yourself together. You go to bed hoping tomorrow will feel lighter, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's when most people start thinking they're stuck like this forever. But here's the thing. Even the heaviest heart can be lifted in prayer. And I don't mean some rushed, half-hearted whisper before you get back to scrolling through your phone. I mean, the kind of prayer where you strip away all the filters, where you let yourself be raw, where you admit you're broken in places you've never shown anyone. It's not about fancy words or sounding perfect. It's about pouring out the mess, the fear, the confusion, and trusting that it's being heard. Think about when you've been carrying a physical load for too long. At first, you try to push through. You shift the weight from one shoulder to the other. You keep telling yourself you can manage. But after a while, your muscles burn, your back aches, and you just can't take it anymore. Then someone comes along and says, "Let me help you carry that." The relief you feel when they take even part of the load. That's what prayer does for the soul. I've seen people who look completely defeated come alive again just by making space every day to talk to the one who created them. Not because their problems instantly disappeared, but because prayer reminded them they weren't carrying it alone. It's like walking into a quiet room after being in a noisy crowd for hours. Suddenly, you can hear yourself think, you can breathe again. Sometimes we treat prayer like a last resort, something we do when we've tried everything else. But what if it's supposed to be the first thing we do? What if the weight you're feeling isn't meant to be carried all by yourself in the first place? Life will throw things at you that are too heavy for human strength. And that's the point, so you remember to lean on something greater than you. I've had conversations with people who told me, pray, but nothing changes. And I tell them, maybe the situation didn't change yet, but you did. Prayer doesn't just move mountains, it moves the weight inside you that makes the mountain feel impossible. Sometimes, the real miracle isn't that the storm ends, but that you find peace while you're still in the middle of it. Look at a child who runs to their parent after scraping their knee. The wound might still be there after the hug, but the fear is gone. The pain doesn't feel as sharp because they know they're safe. That's what happens when you take your heavy heart into prayer. You're reminded that you're not abandoned, that someone's listening, that you're seen in your struggle. There's a reason the strongest people you meet often have the deepest prayer lives. They're not strong because they never break. They're strong because they know where to go when they do. Prayer isn't weakness. It's the ultimate act of strength, choosing to put down what's crushing you and place it into the hands of the one who can actually carry it. When the world feels too loud, when the weight feels too heavy, when you can't see the way forward, that's not the time to pull away from prayer. That's the time to lean in deeper. Because even the heaviest heart, the kind that feels like it's sinking into the ground, can be lifted the moment you remember you were never meant to carry it alone in the first place. Storms have a way of making you believe they'll never end. When the wind is howling in your ears and the rain is hitting your skin so hard it stings, it's almost impossible to imagine that the sun will ever shine again. In those moments, the world feels small, dark, and hostile. Everything inside you just wants it to stop. But the harder you wish it away, the more it seems to rage on. And that's life, isn't it? Sometimes the storms aren't made of rain and thunder. They're made of loss, heartbreak, betrayal, failure, and all the little disappointments that pile up until you feel like you can't take another hit. I've met people in the middle of their storms who swear it's the end for them. They say things like, "This is it, I'm done. I can't bounce back from this one." And I get it. When you're standing in the middle of the chaos, all you can see is the chaos. But here's what's wild. Every storm you've ever been through has eventually passed. Think about that. Every moment you thought you wouldn't survive, you did. Every time you thought the darkness had swallowed you whole, it hadn't. Because storms don't last forever. They never have. They never will. Faith is what keeps you standing when everything else is telling you to fall. It's not about pretending the storm isn't real. It's about believing in something bigger than the storm. It's waking up in the middle of the night, hearing the rain pound against the windows, and still telling yourself, the morning will come. Faith doesn't remove the storm. It teaches you how to walk through it without losing yourself. There's this story I think about a lot. Imagine a tree in the middle of a violent windstorm. Its branches are thrashing. Its leaves are flying off. It looks like it's about to snap. But when the storm ends, the tree is still there. Maybe some branches are broken. Maybe it's not as full as it once was, but its roots are deep. That's what faith does for you. It anchors you so deeply that no matter how wild the storm gets, you're not going anywhere. Life is going to test you. You're going to have days where you lose things you thought you couldn't live without. You're going to hear news that makes your stomach drop. You're going to be betrayed by people you trusted. You're going to fail at things you poured your heart into. And in those moments, you'll have a choice. Let the storm convince you that it's permanent, or trust your faith enough to know it's temporary. The thing about storms is that they're not just destructive, they're revealing. They strip away the things you didn't need. They show you what's truly important, and they teach you how strong you actually are. No one comes out of a storm exactly the same as they went in. The winds might bend you, but they also shape you. The rain might soak you to your bones, but it also washes away the dust you've been carrying. Sometimes the storm in your life is the very thing that forces you to grow roots you didn't know you needed. You think you're being broken, but really you're being built. You think you're losing everything, but maybe you're just losing the things that were holding you back. Faith lets you see that. Faith lets you trust the process even when it's painful. And here's the part most people miss. Storms make the clear skies that follow feel even sweeter. You can't truly appreciate the calm until you've been through the chaos. You can't feel the warmth of the sun the same way unless you've been soaked to the bone in cold rain. Faith is what keeps you moving toward that sunlight step by step, even when you can't see it yet. The storm might be loud, it might be violent, it might make you question everything, but it is not forever. Your faith can outlast it, outshine it, and outgrow it. Storms are temporary, but faith, if you hold on to it, can carry you through a lifetime of them. You're one sincere prayer away from a new chapter, and most people don't realize how powerful that really is. It's not about memorizing the longest words. It's not about sounding perfect. It's about that one moment when your heart finally cracks open and you speak from the deepest part of yourself. Sometimes it's just a whisper. Sometimes it's a cry you can't control. But it's real, and it's raw, and it's yours. That's the kind of prayer that can change the direction of your life, even if everything around you still looks the same. Think about it like this. Imagine you've been walking through a dark forest for hours, maybe even days. You're exhausted. You've been stumbling over roots, getting cut by thorns, hearing strange sounds that make you feel like you're being hunted. You've been moving forward, but you're not even sure if it's the right way anymore. Then you stop for a second, take a deep breath, and ask for help, not the polite kind of help you ask when you're lost in a store, but the desperate, please, get me out of here kind of help. And in that moment, it's like a hand reaches out and points you toward a faint light in the distance. It's not a full rescue yet, but it's a start. That's what a sincere prayer is. It's the moment you admit you can't do it on your own anymore, and you're ready to be guided. I've seen people stuck in the same destructive cycles for years finally turn things around because of one night when they couldn't take it anymore. They didn't have a perfect plan. They didn't suddenly become flawless people, but something inside shifted. That shift wasn't because of their own strength. It was because they finally connected to the source of strength. They made a choice in that moment to open their heart. And that single act set a new chapter in motion. There's this lie we tell ourselves that change has to be this long, drawn-out process that takes years before it's real. Yes, growth takes time, but the decision to start growing, that happens in an instant. 1 second you're living one way, the next second you've decided you're not going to live like that anymore. And prayer is often the bridge between those two moments. It's where you say, "Can't carry this anymore. I'm giving it to you." And the weight doesn't always disappear right away, but your spirit feels lighter because you know you're no longer holding it alone. People underestimate how much a sincere prayer can do because they're looking for fireworks, some big sign that everything's been fixed. But the truth is, the new chapter often begins quietly. It starts with small changes. The anger that used to boil up so fast now takes longer to rise. The temptation that used to pull you in so easily starts to lose its grip. The hopelessness that used to keep you in bed begins to fade, and one day you look around and realize you're not in the same place you used to be. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the roots forming. You don't see the stem pushing up through the soil right away. But the second you planted it, something started happening underground. Prayer plants those seeds. It might take days, weeks, or months before you see the results, but the moment you spoke it from the heart, the shift had already begun. And what's amazing is that you don't have to wait until you're perfect to make that prayer. You can be a mess, you can be full of doubt, you can be in the middle of your worst mistakes, and it still counts. In fact, those are often the most powerful prayers because they're not polished, they're not rehearsed, they're just real. So many people miss out on their new chapter because they think they have to clean themselves up before they can even approach it. But the truth is, you approach as you are with all your flaws, with all your guilt, with all your confusion. You show up, you speak honestly, and you trust that being sincere is enough to be heard. That's the beauty of it. You're never too far gone, never too late, never too broken to start again. And that new beginning could be just one sincere prayer away from where you're standing right now. Hope is knowing that Allah writes better endings than you ever could. And that's something you only truly understand when you've lived long enough to see how life unfolds. We spend so much time trying to control every little detail, trying to force outcomes, trying to write our own script because we think we know exactly how the story should go. We map it all out in our heads. Who will become, what we'll achieve, how people will treat us, when things will happen. But then life has this way of tearing up that script in front of you and handing you a blank page. At first, it feels like the end of the world. You think, this isn't how it's supposed to go. This isn't the ending I wanted. But what you don't realize in that moment is that your ending might not be the one worth having. Think about the times you begged for something to work out and it didn't. Maybe it was a relationship you thought would last forever, a job you thought would be your big break, a dream that seemed so close you could almost touch it. When it slipped away, it felt like loss, like failure, like God was taking something from you. But months or years later, you look back and see the truth. It wasn't a loss, it was a rescue. You were saved from things you couldn't see yet, from roads that would have led you to places darker than you imagined. I've heard people say, if God loved me, why didn't he give me what I wanted? But maybe love looks like protecting you from what you can't see. Maybe love looks like closing doors you keep trying to force open. Maybe love is saying no, not because you don't deserve good things, but because there's something better waiting, something you would never find if you got stuck in what you thought you wanted. Imagine a child holding onto a dull, rusty toy. They're crying because you're taking it away, but you know that if they just let go, you have something new, shiny, and safe waiting for them. That's us with Allah. We cling to what we know, even if it's hurting us, even if it's beneath what we deserve, because it's familiar. But Allah sees the bigger picture. He knows the dangers we don't. He knows the blessings we can't imagine yet. Sometimes you only see his handwriting when you're reading the last page of a chapter you didn't even know was closing, the twist you never saw coming, the detour that led to a better road, the heartbreak that broke you open just enough to let the light in. We're too close to our own stories to understand the plot while it's happening. But he's the author. He's looking at the whole book from start to finish. And his endings aren't just better, they're perfectly timed. We get impatient. We want things now. We think we're ready, but maybe if he gave it to us too soon, we wouldn't know how to handle it. Maybe we'd ruin it. Maybe it would break us instead of build us. So he waits not to punish us, but to prepare us. I've met people who thought their life was over when something fell apart, only to realize years later that it was the very thing that set them free. They found joy, purpose, and peace they never would have known if their original plan had worked out. It's like watching the sunset. You can be sad that the day ended, or you can stand in awe at how beautiful the ending can be when you didn't paint the sky yourself. We can write our own drafts, we can dream, we can plan, but the moment we hand over the pen, the story starts to become something far greater than what we imagined. Because hope isn't just believing things will get better. It's knowing the one writing your story already knows how to give it the ending it deserves. Every hardship is a bridge to something better. But in the moment when the rain is heavy and the road ahead is muddy, it's hard to believe there's anything worth walking toward. Yet life keeps showing us again and again that what feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise. Think of the seed buried deep in the soil, in darkness, under pressure. It breaks before it grows. You may feel like that seed now, pressed by life's weight, unseen, forgotten, but within you, something is preparing to rise. There are days when you wake up and the air feels heavier than usual, when even simple things feel like mountains, and every path you take seems to be blocked. That's the part no one likes to talk about, the waiting, the uncertainty, the pain that doesn't seem to serve a purpose. But imagine a bridge you can't yet see because it's hidden in the fog. You take one step, then another, and though you can't see the other side, the bridge is already carrying you toward it. Hardships are like that. They are silent builders, constructing the path you'll one day look back on and thank for existing. You've seen it in others, even if you've missed it in yourself. The friend who lost their job only to find a career they truly loved. The person who went through heartbreak and then discovered a deeper kind of love, not with someone else at first, but with themselves. The one who faced illness and came out cherishing life in ways they never had before. In each of these stories, the struggle was the passageway. The hardship was the toll that had to be paid to cross into a better chapter. Life's toughest moments are like storms that wash away weak foundations, leaving room for something stronger to be built. You might resist it at first, gripping onto what's familiar, even if it's hurting you, because stepping into the unknown is frightening. But the unknown is often where your true life is waiting. Bridges are meant to take you away from what you've outgrown and into a place where you can grow again. Remember the times you thought you wouldn't make it through? Yet here you are. Those moments shaped you in ways comfort never could. You learned patience when the world made you wait. You learned strength when you had no choice but to stand. You learned faith when nothing made sense. Every bruise, every tear, every long night was a plank laid on that invisible bridge. So when you face another hardship, and you will, try to see it not as a wall but as a crossing. Trust that this struggle is not the full story, but the chapter that carries you to the next. Somewhere ahead, there is a clearer sky, a gentler road, a place that feels like home in your own skin. You don't have to see it yet. You just have to keep walking, because the bridge is already there, waiting for you to arrive. The same Allah who tests you is the one who carries you, and this truth is something most people forget when life starts pressing them from all sides. When the storms hit, we often ask, why me? Why now? Why this pain? But if you look deeper, you'll realize that every trial you face is not just a random hardship thrown into your life to break you. It's a carefully measured challenge designed to shape you. Think of the way a blacksmith works with metal. He heats it until it glows, pounds it, bends it, and shapes it. To the metal, it might feel like destruction, but in reality, it's transformation. Allah is that master craftsman, and you are the work in progress. Every test is the fire, and every blessing that follows is the cooling water. Without one, the other loses meaning. Sometimes life puts you in situations where you feel like you're drowning. The deadlines, the bills, the broken relationships, the uncertainty about tomorrow. It feels like too much. But even in those moments, you're being carried. It's like a child in the arms of a parent walking through a storm. The child may still feel the wind, still see the lightning, but they are safe because the one holding them will not let go. And when you understand that the one who allowed the storm is the same one who is holding you through it, your fear starts to turn into trust. You've probably seen a plant growing in the middle of concrete, something that shouldn't even be possible. Yet against all odds, that tiny green stem pushes through the cracks, searching for light. That's you in your tests. The weight of the concrete is the pressure of your hardships, but the light is the mercy and guidance of Allah pulling you upward. And here's the thing, every test you've been through before, you've survived. Every storm you thought would end you, it didn't. And that's proof that the one who tested you was also carrying you each time, step by step, without you even realizing it. Sometimes the carrying is invisible. You might think you made it through because of your own strength, but in truth, you were being held up the whole time. Think about the times you were at your lowest, when you cried in the quiet of the night, when you felt so heavy that even getting out of bed was a victory. Yet somehow you found the energy to move forward. That was not an accident. That was not just you being strong. That was divine help, given silently, without announcement, without applause. We live in a world that teaches us to only celebrate the victories, the moments when we finally cross the finish line. But the real miracle is not the moment you win. It's the countless moments you kept walking when your legs felt like they couldn't take another step. That's when you were being carried the most. And sometimes being carried doesn't mean you're lifted out of the situation instantly. It means you're given just enough strength, just enough peace, just enough hope to take the next small step. The test is never meant to crush you forever, but to reveal what's inside you. You only find out how much faith you truly have when it's all you have left. You only learn how strong your heart is when it's been broken and yet still beats with hope. And through it all, the same Allah who put you there is the one guiding your way out. So the next time you're in the middle of a trial, instead of only asking, why me, start asking, what is this teaching me? And how is he carrying me right now? Because if you look closely, you'll notice the small mercies, an unexpected helping hand, a sudden moment of peace in your mind, a reminder from a verse or a friend that speaks directly to your heart. Those are not coincidences. They're proof you're not walking alone. Nothing feels heavier than regret, so drop it before it crushes you. Regret is like carrying a backpack filled with stones everywhere you go. At first, it might not seem too bad. You tell yourself you can handle the weight. You convince yourself it's just part of life. But with every step, it grows heavier. The stones multiply, not because they're physically added, but because your mind keeps replaying what happened. What you didn't do, what you should have done differently. It's the quiet weight that sits on your chest at night, the kind that makes breathing feel like a chore. Regret doesn't just sit in your past, it leaks into your present, infects your future, and steals moments that were meant to be filled with joy. Think about how many times you've been lost in thought, staring at nothing, reliving a mistake from years ago while the world kept moving without you. That's the thing about regret. It doesn't just make you remember, it traps you there. In life, you can't rewind. You can't go back and edit the scene. Life is a live recording, every second etched into memory, and no amount of wishing can change the past. But you can choose how much of it you keep dragging behind you. Imagine trying to run a race while pulling a car tied to your waist. Every step forward feels impossible, not because you can't move, but because you're chained to something that's designed to keep you still. Regret is that chain, and every day you keep it, you're giving it permission to slow you down, to keep you from seeing the opportunities right in front of you. We've all had moments we wish we could erase. The words we said in anger, the opportunities we didn't take, the people we let slip away. And it's easy to play the what if game. What if I had tried harder? What if I had said yes? What if I had been braver? But what if is a thief. It steals your energy, your focus, your hope. It blinds you to the truth that the only time you have power is now. Yesterday is a closed book. You can read it, you can learn from it, but you can't rewrite it. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem unshakable. They've made mistakes too, probably bigger than yours. The difference is they refuse to let regret write their story. They turned their failures into lessons, their losses into fuel. They understood that the weight of regret is optional. It's like standing in a burning building but refusing to leave because you're upset about how the fire started. You can waste your life analyzing the flames, or you can run out and find safety, air, and light. When you drop regret, you make space for growth. It's like cleaning a cluttered room you've avoided for years. Once the dust and junk are gone, you finally see how much space you have to move, to breathe, to live. You start noticing possibilities you couldn't before. The weight is gone, and suddenly your steps are lighter, your mind sharper, your spirit freer. Life will always give you choices. Hold on or let go. But remember this, holding on to regret doesn't keep the past alive. It keeps you from living. Every second you spend carrying it is a second stolen from your future. You have the power to drop it, to stand taller, to breathe deeper, to move forward without the invisible chains. Regret is heavy, but freedom is light, and the moment you decide to let go, you'll realize the weight you thought was part of you was never meant to be yours in the first place. Paradise is built on patience and faith in the unseen, and in a world that constantly demands instant results, this truth feels like a hidden treasure that only the wise discover. Think about it. Every beautiful thing in life takes time. A seed doesn't turn into a tree overnight, yet when it finally grows, it provides shade, fruit, and life to countless others. The same is true for your dreams, your struggles, and your purpose. Patience is not just about waiting, it is about enduring the wait with trust that what is meant for you is already on its way. Faith in the unseen is the bridge that connects your present struggles to your future blessings. It is waking up each day, not because you can already see the reward, but because you believe in the one who promised it. Life will test you with delays, with moments where nothing seems to move forward, with times when you feel like you are walking through darkness with no sign of light ahead. But patience whispers, keep going, and faith answers, the light is closer than you think. In your daily life, you've probably faced moments where giving up seemed easier than holding on. Maybe you've been working hard at something, a business, a relationship, a dream, and the results just aren't showing yet. But understand this, the farmer doesn't dig up the soil every morning to see if the seed is growing. He waters it, nurtures it, and trusts the process. If you could see every blessing before it arrived, there would be no need for faith. But faith is the courage to stand firm even when the road is invisible. It is choosing to believe that every delay has a purpose, that every struggle is shaping you into the person who can carry the weight of the blessing when it comes. Patience is not weakness, it is strength under control. It takes more courage to wait in faith than to rush ahead and try to force things on your own. The world might celebrate speed, but heaven celebrates endurance. Every test you pass by holding on a little longer, every time you choose to trust rather than complain, you are building something greater than you can see. Your character is being refined, your heart is being prepared, and your soul is learning how to value the gift when it finally arrives. Sometimes the wait itself is the blessing because it teaches you the depth of your own resilience. Look around in nature. Rivers carve valleys over centuries. Mountains are shaped over millennia. Even the stars we see at night have taken millions of years for their light to reach us. Creation itself is a testament that great things take time. So when you feel like your prayers are unanswered, remember you may be living in the space between planting and harvest. Don't despise this season, because one day you will look back and realize it was the most important part of your journey. The unseen is not empty, it is simply not yet revealed. And when it finally is, you will understand why you had to walk by faith, not by sight. Life will always test you in the moments you least expect it, and sometimes it will feel like the ground beneath you has disappeared, like you are falling with nothing to hold on to. But remember, it's in those exact moments that greatness is forged. When everything around you seems to be crumbling, you still have a choice. You can let the weight break you, or you can let it mold you into something unshakable. Every scar you carry is a silent proof that you faced storms and kept walking. Every failure you've tasted is a lesson that has shaped your vision, and every person who doubted you unknowingly fueled the fire that burns inside you today. You cannot wait for perfect conditions because they do not exist. Stop waiting for someone to save you, for the right opportunity to magically appear, or for the fear to disappear before you act. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's walking through fear with trembling hands and still moving forward. The world belongs to those who dare to act while others are hesitating. Those who decide that no setback, no heartbreak, no rejection will define the final chapter of their story. People will try to put you in boxes, to label you by your past mistakes, to limit you by their small vision. But your destiny is not written by their opinions. It is written by your resilience, by your relentless will to rise again and again. Success is not about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down no matter how hard you've been hit. So don't hide your wounds, because they are the proof you were stronger than whatever tried to destroy you. Don't run from your pain, because it's shaping a version of you that you cannot yet see. Every morning you wake up is another chance to rewrite your future. Today could be the day you take the step that changes everything, the day you speak the words you've been holding back, the day you make the call, take the risk, burn the bridges behind you, and never look back. Life is not waiting for you. Your dreams are not waiting for you. Time is passing, and one day you will wish you had started when you had the chance. So breathe deeply, straighten your back, and walk into the world like you belong here, because you do. Speak with the quiet confidence of someone who knows storms may come, but they cannot drown you. Act with the certainty of someone who has already decided they will not quit until they win. Let your presence be so steady that it silences the noise of doubt around you. You are not here to live a life of fear and hesitation. You are here to fight for the vision only you can see. You are here to make choices that scare you because they demand you grow. You are here to inspire others, not by pretending to be perfect, but by showing them how you rise every time you fall. Remember, the clock is ticking, the world is watching, and your moment is now. There will never be a perfect time, but there will always be a right time. And that time is the one you create. Stand tall, take the first step, and don't stop until the story you tell is the one you were born to live.